G'day, boys. So you're here for the diamond coin formula? Well, I've got you. I have been watching a load of professional games recently. I've been watching so many tournaments since the last major that I think I've got a pretty good gauge on how to get and grasp that beautiful shiny diamond coin. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First off, Legacy over FlyQuest. There's a no-brainer there. Even though I'm an Australian and I want FlyQuest to win, I think Legacy is going to come out of the gate similar to like the last major they did and just absolutely smash the competition. FlyQuest just has a really bad matchup with Legacy here, I would say. And in terms of FlyQuest's previous matches and tournaments, they haven't been doing very well, and they've had a big switch up with their positions and how they play their game. So AZR came in as coach, and a lot of their positions on a lot of the core maps have been switched around and changed. So their last kind of tournament was a bit iffy. They did have some good results like beating Fnatic and 3D Max, but Fnatic has having their own problems. 3D Max was a pretty well all-round good game. They've had some struggles against other teams, low-tier teams, and they've won against some other low-tier teams and whatnot. But the big key one is they got absolutely massacred by Legacy in PLGL Masters. It wasn't that good. Like, even the scorelines were 13-11, 13-7. Like, they were making so many mistakes, and Legacy was just cleaning them up from it. So like, it was a big roughie for FlyQuest, but I think Legacy will easily clear them. I know FlyQuest is boot camping, but so is Legacy, and I think Legacy is definitely going to come out on top for that one. The second one is FaZe Clan and Lin Vision Gaming. I really want to put it for Lin Vision Gaming, but both teams are struggling right now. FaZe Clan with the roster changes, they've been all over the place. Lin Vision Gaming hasn't really had a solid form. They're good against, you know, the tier 2 Chinese teams and other teams in this region, apart from Tyloo, of course. They've just been doing very well in that retrospect. But when they go against tier 1 teams, they really seem to be struggling, because ever since the major run that they did, where they had a really good fucking hype behind them and crazy plays were happening, they've never really lived up to that hype ever since they made it out of the groups. So let me go back down here. You know, so the Blast Major, you know, they made it through, and they beat Falcons and whatnot. And everyone was like, oh my god, crazy upset and all that kind of stuff. You know, they beat the best Chinese team, Tyloo, as well. But, you know, they did sadly fall short. But they did have a very good showing in the last major. But after that, they've never really shown that. You know, they've been beating, you know, these tier 2, tier 3, you know, Asian teams. B8, not bad. Losing against Tyloo, swamped by G2, swamped by a VP, Mongols, and all that kind of stuff. And it just keeps continuing. Like, they've never really shown a real solid showing. Like, for this Vitality one, for example, people can say, like, Vitality are not in form. I argue that they're still in form. They're just having a little bit of trouble, but they're still going to perform quite well. And, you know, they get 13-2, 13-5. So for Lin Vision and FaZe Clan, it's a very big mix-up, because me personally, I don't know why they added Jacob. He doesn't really perform. He's not a big fragger. Sometimes he has a good map now and then, but it's so hard and inconsistent in between. Like, Twist and Brokey are the main hitters for FaZe right now. Frozen's been lacking. I don't know why, but Twist and Brokey need to pop off, and they don't pop off, they instantly lose. So, for example, you come down... I'll click on any one of them. I'll click on this VP match where they lost. We come down to the scoreline here. Twist on top, Brokey not performing, instant loss. You know what I mean? And then I think the only one they really won is when Brokey and Twist really popped off. See Brokey, Twist at the top. Very nice. Crazy swing and impact. So it's a real 50-50. Both teams are going to come in, really want to win it. And I think Lin Vision Gaming is going to trump over FaZe. I think FaZe is going to tumble in this group stage. Or first stage. I think Lin Vision Gaming is going to come with the power, but I think FaZe Clan is going to fall short. So I'm going to go Lin Vision Gaming for that one. Even though that FaZe Clan should be showing they should stomp Lin Vision with the talent they have, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to buckle under the pressure. Now we have B8 and M8O. I'm putting M8O because absolute hype around this team. So if you've been watching any of the pro tournaments and stuff like that, you can see that this right here was a big spike that they had over this period here, where they've just done some crazy tournament runs. It's been very impressive to watch, and it feels so fun and renewing to watch like a brand new team come to the scene and just like hit some big targets. So in terms of M80's performance, they've been winning some tournaments. Obviously, these are a bit kind of like tier 2, tier 3 tournaments, but obviously they're beating names like Big and Imperial with ease. However, like these kind of tournaments that they were winning and beating players in, it was kind of farming VRS points at that stage. However, when they do verse some big hitters, it ends up being like they perform, but they just kind of miss the mark slightly. So like with more improvement and kind of like better synergy and strategy, like they can be definitely beating these tier 1 teams. For example, here when they verse Mouse, which I think Mouse is one of the best teams, they just can't they just very struggle to finalize in the top 4. So they get top 4 and then it's just like they bin themselves. But like their core lineup is very, very solid. And, you know, M80 is bringing it to them. They slacked on the Inferno one, but like these two maps here, I remember watching this. It was very, very close, and they were counter-stratting, they were anti-stratting. Like their defaults were working. Like they were playing the game fundamentally correct. And once they get the ball rolling, it's hard to stop them. So I think M80 will beat B8. But even though B8's quite consistent, so you got like someone that is like a emotional roller coaster versus a stable fundamental team. So B8, I would say, is just a fundamental stable team. But when M8 gets on the roll, I think that's when that kind of takes over. And it's only a best of 1. So I think M80 is going to come in ball rolling and it's just going to flood B8. And the next one is Gamer Legion and Fluxo. I think Gamer Legion is going to win this. Gamer Legion has been pretty consistent throughout the year, well, since the last major. Obviously, they've been winning and losing in between up and down, but the core team of Gamer Legion is very, very good. Rez seems like he's getting back into that form of when he first joined NIP, and he was like crazy, crazy sharp, you know, all those years ago. Like, he feels like he's getting real back in form here. And I think that compared to Fluxo, I just don't think they have the firepower to compete against Gamer Legion. Also, the rumors are that a core 3 of Gamer Legion is going to be bought out and they're going to become the new 100 Thieves under Rain, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's kind of the rumor at the moment in the scene, but regardless, Gamer Legion's going to come into this and they're going to have some crazy impact. And I don't like to rule out the Brazilians because Brazilians are the hype. So they could easily go 3-0 if they wanted, but I don't think it's going to happen because of their recent results. Domestically, Fluxo does very well, but when they start to go international, they kind of struggle a little bit. You know, 1-2 against G2, 0-2 against Fura, 2-1 against Astralis. Like, I feel like they struggle against the big hitters, and Gamer Legion is that kind of big hitter in this group stage. So I think I just have to put Gamer Legion over Fluxo. I have seen people put Fluxo in 0-3. I don't think Fluxo is going to go 0-3. It's a bit silly. They've got some good firepower on their team. They just struggle when it's against a very solid team. Fnatic versus Red Canids. I don't even need to show you the results or any of the reasoning behind it. Fnatic is just going to stomp Red Canids. Obviously, Fnatic's had trouble there by benching Cypher and then bringing in the new bloke. A lot of people weren't happy with that because Cypher's British. He even got his sticker in the game, which is nice. But like the way BlameF was trying to play Fnatic and kind of suit it to his style, I feel like they were a lot better before they benched Cypher and the problems leading up to it. But regardless, Ren Canids don't have a chance against Fnatic. Next up, we have Paravision and the Huns Esport. It's definitely going to be Paravision. Huns is basically the second best Mongols team, but the gap in between Mongols and like the Huns is just, it's crazy. Mongols is in a complete league of their own. Like when they go back to Mongolia, like they don't practice, because if they do practice, they'll pick up bad habits because of how big the skill disparity is of the main roster of Mongols and then the rest of the Mongolian player base. So Paravision is gonna beat the Huns. It might be close, maybe not, but the thing is with Paravision is James never been the same since Counter-Strike 2 launched. If you do know, James used to be on VP, and that VP roster used to be very, very decent, very good. They won some titles. They won a major together under like Outriders, or whatever the thing is called. But ever since, you know, CS2 launched and Rifles become a lot more dominant versus the AWP, he's just never been able to real transition into the big boy he used to be in Counter-Strike Go. And I think that does limit the team's power. But compared to, you know, like the Huns, they're gonna smash him without a doubt. Next up, Ninja in Pajamas and NRG. I think NRG will come up on top. They had a face-to-face together on LAN, and NRG showed a really impressive showing against him, and Nip just couldn't seem to really string rounds together and like have a good defense or a good offense against NRG. Obviously, it could, you know, jet lag or whatnot. Home turf, because NRG is American, and it was in Philadelphia, which was in America. Regardless, though, NRG is probably like the best American team, even though it's like sort of international, but you know, they have their American slot. So, but in terms of NRG and like Team Liquid and stuff, I think NRG is pretty good and pretty solid. I think Ninjas is struggling a little bit. Every time they kind of verse the big hitters, they do tend to like fail when it gets really close, really tight, but sometimes they have some good games now and then. Overall, I think Ninjas won't win this because it is a best of one, so it's really hard to pinpoint what's going to happen because, for example, NRG might win both pistols, but then they lose ecos, you know, they lose force buys. So I think NRG overall is looking stronger than Ninjas at the moment. Imperial Esports over Rare Atom, no brainer. Imperial Esports, Brazilians all the way. I don't really need to show you the stats, but Rare Atom is not a strong Chinese team. They barely scraped in with the VRS. Like they're ranked 49 on the VRS, but in terms of what they've accomplished, it hasn't been too good. So like they beat their local, they beat domestically. You know, they struggled to swap with some of the Huns and whatnot. But overall, like their international showing isn't really there because they haven't played many international tournaments, and that's going to really let them down versus Imperial, who has played in many international tournaments and has had a lot of upsets against bigger teams. So in that term, Imperial Esports will definitely triumph over Rare Atom. But never count out the Asian teams because historically, a lot of Asian teams have upset the 0-3 and ruined people's Pickems, but Imperial Esports will probably come out on top. Unless they don't get the ball rolling and they let Rare Atom to slope over. But that's the same with every other one. It's like if they don't show up, then they're obviously going to be beaten. All right, round two. I need to speed this up a little bit. I'm moving a bit slow here. Round two, Legacy versus NRG. I think Legacy comes out on top. Best of one. I think Legacy is looking a lot more hotter and fitter than NRG. I think NRG has the potential to win this BO1, but in terms of recent results, I think Legacy will show up and be a lot better on the day. Game Legion versus M80. Even though I'm on the M8, I'm on the Gentle Mates. I don't know why I said M80, but Gentle Mates. I'm on the Gentle Mates hype train, but I think Game Legion and the way they're looking right now, I think they're going to come out on top for sure. And then you have Fnatic, Lin Vision Gaming. I think Fnatic definitely beats Lin Vision Gaming. Fnatic is like, they've got such a good core, but they've just had some internal issues and like roster swaps with some benching of players, which I think has negatively impacted their performance recently. But they're having a nice big long break in between their last tournament and now. So I think they're going to really iron things out and give us a nice, good showing. Paravision versus Imperial. I think Imperial takes this, even though technically Paravision has more veteran players and they've won more titles. I think Imperial Esports will bring the power, and I don't think Paravision will be able to just to shut them down because, you know, Brazilians, once you get them going, they don't stop, mate. They don't stop. And for the 0-1 bracket, FaZe Clan definitely clears Rare Atom. B8 versus the Huns. I think B8 takes it. The Huns and Rare Atom don't look too hot at the moment. They do well domestically, just not internationally. The results just aren't there. And B8 and FaZe Clan obviously, you know, have that experience behind them. Ninjas beat Red Candidates. Like, I just need to show you the Red Candidates. Like, they have like a good lineup, but they've just never done anything great with it. Like, individually, some of these players are crazy, but they just don't seem to turn it into any results. Like, domestically, they do well, you know, but overall, it's just like they don't seem to be, you know, pumping out some good results at all. So I think Ninjas will take it. Best of one, there's definitely upset potential, but overall, I think Ninjas will win. Now, FlyQuest and Fluxo, this is a very interesting one for me because my gut says Fluxo, but my heart says FlyQuest. I want FlyQuest to go do really well. They have the potential to do really well, but because of all the swaps and changes that Az's made with how they play the maps and stuff, which is beneficial to FlyQuest, I think, because they'll be coming into this tournament with not a lot of demos to review and show how they played the sites and how they take space and all this kind of stuff, because everything's been mixed up with AZR joining. But Fluxo, Fluxo has the potential to definitely win. I don't want to put FlyQuest in, somewhat biased, but I want FlyQuest to win. So it's a very hard one to pick because it could easily swing both ways. It's like a 50-50 chance at this one. But I'm going to go with FlyQuest because I personally want them to win. If you want to do actual logical based reasoning, and there's more, like I would say there's more chance of Fluxo just going on a roll and just destroying FlyQuest in like a 13-7 fashion or something like that. But I'm going to say FlyQuest because they're my boys and I don't want to let them down. I feel like they can do it. They have the power within them to do it. They just might not show it. But they definitely won't go 0-3. Alright, round 3. We got Legacy versus Imperial. Brazilian versus Brazilian. Legacy comes out on top because Legacy is the better Brazilian team. Results show it. Past matches against them show it. So overall, I think Legacy will come out on top. Better experience, better players. Best of 3, it's going to be Legacy. And on top of that, for example, like in Paravision beats Imperial Esports and it goes Legacy versus Paravision, then Legacy beats Paravision. So I think Legacy 3-0 is a safe bet unless they don't show up. And there's definitely like upset possibility with NRG in a best of 1. But overall, I think Legacy can do it. If you want to play it safe, then you just do Legacy in the like 3-1, 3-2 bracket. And then Gamer Legion over Fnatic. I think Gamer Legion, with their core, the firepower, like I said before, Gamer Legion definitely will take the best of 3. No, Fnatic, Blame F. I love Blame F. I've always looked at Blame F's demos back in the day when he was IGLing. Like, he's such a great player, but I think the current core Yaz isn't fully ready for the major. I think they need a couple more months together to get everything gelled up. But I just don't think they're at the synergy levels of Gamer Legion, I think Fnatic will fail in some areas, and their defaults and their strats have a little holes in them, and I think Gamer Legion can definitely exploit them. And then for the best of 1, Linvision versus Ninja Gaming's, I think Linvision will honestly take it. Ninjas haven't looked that strong recently. They've had some glimmers of hope, but it's nothing ever consistent. I think Linvision Game is going to bring the heat. Even though they've been struggling recently, they've been doing well domestically, but struggling internationally. I think Linvision Gaming is going to bring the heat, definitely against Ninjas. And then you got General Mates versus FaZe Clan. I'm not a FaZe Clan hater. Their roster doesn't look like it's going to do too well. So I'm going to put Gentle Mates over FaZe Gaming. But then it's like, if FaZe Gaming really get their shit together, they can do well. They can beat players. But in a best of 1, like, it can swing very, very badly towards FaZe Clan. So I think I'm going to put Gentle Mates over it. And people are like, what are you doing? These are stellar players. It's like, yeah, they've got stellar players on their roster, but like nothing is really working unless the individual players show up. If the individual players don't show up, like, their whole IGL style just crumbles. So like, their loose game style just doesn't work. First B8, I think B8 wins because, like, even though that NRG has done well domestically, even though they're beating like tier 2, tier 3 teams, it's like when they get the international stage, they kind of fumble a little bit. Like ESL Pro League season, they just didn't really get their teeth into the competition. Obviously, they beat Ninjas and Pajamas at LAN, but that's not really that important because B8 has been consistently, showing up and beating other teams. So I think B8 definitely would come out on top if they come up into this matchup here. Paravision, as much as I like FlyQuest, I think Paravision just has so much more experience, and them living in Europe and being able to play against all the better teams. I think Paravision just beats them solely on experience and being in that country, And here's it, 0-2, best of 3s. Okay, Fluxo versus Huns Esport. I think Fluxo takes it. I don't think the Huns are going to do well. As much as I love watching the Mongols, the other Mongolian teams aren't that good. They do well domestically. Huns does well domestically, but they just can't really do it internationally. I don't think they're going to show up against Fluxo. I think Fluxo is going to be like, fuck your Pickems. It's not happening. They're definitely going to win. And now this is a real flip of the coin. Like, red candidates or rare Adam. Like that is another coin flip. But because it's like it's Brazilian versus China. That's basically what it is. But I think Brazilians, because their domestic scene is better than the Chinese domestic scene. So I feel like when they're playing like China versus Brazil, I think Brazil, they kind of have that more experience, more playtime against the Rare Adam roster. So I think that Red Cannons will just solely beat them on, you know, more hours played against better opposition, and just overall kind of expertise in this game. So I think Red Cannons will beat them like that, and the 0-3 bracket will become Huns Esports and Rare Adam. And our 3-0 is Gamer Legion and Legacy. Obviously, if you want to play it safe, I think you just put Legacy and Gamer Legion into the 3-1 and 3-2 brackets, because they're 100% going to make it. Those teams are definitely going to do it, but I'm solely just doing it off what I think is going to happen. And then in a 2-1 bracket, best of 3, you got Fnatic versus Paravision. This one's tricky because both rosters aren't looking as best as they could be. And, you know, with the Fnatic changes, I think Paravision will honestly take it over Fnatic. It'll be a very close and tight one, but I think they will do it. And then you got Gentlemates versus Lin Vision Gaming. I think Gentlemates will definitely pull through here. They've done very well internationally. They've had some great tournaments. Obviously, they have never won the big tier 1s yet or anything like that, but they've done some good showings, and I think this Gentlemate roster is going to do some good things in the future. For the 2-1, I think B8 definitely takes it over Imperial Esports. I could guess a 2-0. Imperial Esports could definitely show up and give B8 a hard time, but I think overall in a best of 3, B8 just comes out on top. Their roster is just a lot stronger than Imperial Esports, but Imperial Esports can do well, but in the best of 3, I don't think there's upset potential. So I think B8 definitely takes it, and the 3-1s are going to be looking like Gentlemates, B8, and Paravision. For the 1-2 bracket, we got FlyQuest versus Red Candidates. This is definitely a flip. Definitely a flip. I think if FlyQuest can't get it going, then they're definitely going to lose, because the biggest thing with FlyQuest is that they have some amazing rounds and some amazing showings on like one map, but then the next map, it's just like a complete blunder. They don't get anything going, and they just get 13-5'd. And it's just so depressing to watch. So it's like, do you think FlyQuest is going to actually show up on the day? Then they're definitely going to win, for sure. But you could argue that for every other team. But in this condition, I'd say FlyQuest is that team. It's like, you get the ball rolling, then it's actually good, but staying that consistent level is their issue. But I think FlyQuest would beat Red Candidates. Obviously, FlyQuest is the best Australian team currently, but they're definitely not at their peak. They have very good potential. They're just not reaching it yet. And then you got NRG versus Fluxo. Ooh. That's a tough one. Fluxo could definitely beat NRG, but I think NRG, with the experience that they have, I think they come through here with NRG over Fluxo. Like, it's just, yeah, the current results with NRG and how they've been playing definitely triumph what Fluxo's currently been doing. And then you got FaZe Clan versus Ninja. I think this is FaZe Clan. So I honestly can see Ninja winning against FaZe Clan, but their shakiness of past results, I think FaZe Clan can kind of exploit that. And, you know, Carrigan being Carrigan versus a Swedish team, I think he's going to come out on top. And that leaves our 2-4-2s. Oh, sorry, what the hell? We got Imperial Esports versus FaZe Clan. Because, like, if you just solely base it on the HLTV profile versus them, it's like, oh, FaZe will win, no brainer. But because of their struggles they've been having recently, like, Imperial Esports could definitely just put a wrench in their machine and just cause them to shut down. Like, if you shut down Brokey, you shut down Twists. Like, Frozen is just inconsistent as hell at the moment. Jacob is sometimes just nowhere to be seen, and then you got Carrigan just being Carrigan. I still don't know why they got Jacob in. I know that they need some young blood, something new, you know, someone crazy, but Jacob wasn't that player. And kicking Rain has made the roster a lot worse. Rain was that stable player that you could always rely on, and they just got rid of him, and it just made no sense. So I think FaZe Clan could definitely take it over Imperial Esports. I think Imperial Esports could definitely fumble it, but there's definitely a small chance Imperial Esports could just run it through. But overall, in terms of just the experience, head-to-head, and what Carrigan can come up with, I think FaZe Clan takes it. Next is Fnatic and NRG. I think Fnatic definitely comes out on top here. I feel like that's almost a no-brainer. Obviously, they've had issues, with their roster and whatnot, but in this kind of caliber of event, I think Fnatic definitely gets their shit together and comes out on top against NRG. I think NRG will just fall short. Unlucky the American Dream, but I think they definitely fall short against Fnatic. And now you have FlyQuest versus Lin Vision Gaming. My gut instantly tells me Lin Vision Gaming, without a doubt. My heart's telling me FlyQuest though, so I think if you feel like Lin Vision Game, like you don't care about Australian pride, then put Lin Vision Gaming without a doubt, because like if you want the diamond coin, more chance to be Lin Vision. As much as I want FlyQuest to proceed, I just don't think they will get past Lin Vision's veracity, especially when they verse, teams domestically. Lin Vision Gaming really runs the gauntlet, and FlyQuest has some okay showings now and then. Like they beat Gamer Legion, who I think is going to go 3-0, but like that was a amazing game that they played, and then the following game they just blundered, So I think in a best of 3, I think Lin Vision Gaming comes out on top against FlyQuest, sadly. So for the Pickems, Legacy will go in, FaZe will go in, B8 will go in, Game Legion will go 3-0, Fnatic will come in, Paravision will come in, Lin Vision Gaming will come in, and M80 will come in, with Rare Adam and the Huns being 0-3s. So that is what it's looking at right now. These teams miss out. These teams get 0-3 and this 3-0. There's definitely chances that these guys don't go 3-0 and you just put these guys in here, because these guys, Legacy and Game Legions, will 100% make it through. I bet my left nut on it, all right? But overall, that's my reasoning between the two. I have been watching a lot of professional Counter-Strike. I've really gotten back into Counter-Strike. I used to love this game so long ago, but I just kind of fell out of it and I stopped playing because it kind of gets you addicted to it, But I'm going to get this diamond coin, 100%. And I think I've got at least, 70% of that right, which is, you need less than that. So I think 100% I'll get it. I definitely will get at least 1 3-0, and I'll get at least 4 just through to stages. And I think the 0-3s are looking quite likely. Definitely is upset potential because of best of 1s, but overall I think that's looking pretty solid. I did encounter for some upsets, especially like against FaZe, because of how shaky they're looking. But I think honestly that's what's going to happen. But honestly, you never really know. At the end of the day, this is just my thoughts and opinions. If you use them and we don't get it, then sue me. But I honestly think that what I've picked is a good-looking, worthy pick'em for the diamond coin. And I've been doing my research because I want to get my diamond coin. I haven't got a diamond coin for a couple of years, and I've only been doing them casually. But now I've got the insight. So hopefully it pays off. All right. Anyway, boys, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.
Who's that? Who's that? That's me. Whoa.